4 hours of continuous live stream. So that, in essence, is the entire IRL backpack, which is crazy. I love you. I love you a lot. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of money is something your phone can do. Well. Welcome back to another video. Today, I thought I'd do a little bit of a showcase on the technology I use to do some of my bigger IRL streams. Currently, Tech Channel Nation, we've done a lot of work on servers, computers, and today we're gonna be doing a different type of technology. Today, we're gonna be looking closer at what goes into streaming your own Grand Prix, for example. So, in front of me on this table, I've got various different bits of tech that all do specific jobs that allow me to do massive streams like blocking all of my friends in an esports arena for 3 days. I thought I'd talk about the overkill IRL streaming setup that I've accumulated over my years of doing this, and what I recommend, what I've learned, what I don't recommend, stuff like that. Shall we get into it? Before we get into it, I gotta say thanks for 20k subs, boys. The last video I made about my Minecraft servers blew up way more than I thought it would. So thank you guys for 20,000 subscribers. That's awesome. And if you want to see more videos about my random bits of technology, consider subscribing yourself. Onwards with the first thing I'm going to be talking about. This is the LiveView Solo Pro. What this is it's basically a computer and a battery in a box with only one job, which is streaming an RTMP video source to a server. If you don't know what an RTMP video source is, I think it's a protocol for transmitting video over network. So I would plug my camera in here, and then I'd plug my internet in, and then this would send that video feed to a server that runs on the internet, which will then forward it to Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, wherever it goes. It's quite nifty. The interface on the front isn't the most useful to use. If you ever have to input a Wi-Fi password or connect to a Wi-Fi, because it has Wi-Fi built in, the interface is like a pain in the ass, is what I will say. But what is good about this one, which is different from this one here, this is the old one. This is just the LiveView Solo, not the Pro variant. This one, also really difficult interface to use on the front. But what's different between this one and this one is that the USB ports, which is what you can connect modems to, this one you can connect one modem per USB port. On the Solo Pro, you can connect 2 modems. And my friends over at IRL.run sent me these. This is a 2 modem like setup here, which goes into the one USB port which connects here. Each of these have data plans for unlimited data worldwide. You just plug in here. You've got 2 modems now connected. That's like 2 different sources of internet for the device. And then I've got another pair of 2 here. Plug that into the other side. And then you have 4 5G modems. If you're wondering what a modem is, it's basically like on your phone when you buy a data plan from your service provider or carrier and you get data when you're walking around. That is because your phone has a 5G antenna inside of it, or 4G. These are basically just the dedicated part of the phone, but more powerful. It's basically like having 4 of them, and it takes all of those phone signals together and combines it into one really strong signal. In the UK especially, we have 4 main cell phone network: EE, O2, 3, and Vodafone. Depending on where you are in the country, these different carriers will be better for service, better high-speed 5G in cities, stuff like that. The benefit of having these 4 modems is that you can actually have one of these set to each of those carriers. Let's say I'm doing an IRL stream, I'm in my car, I'm driving from Brighton to London. In Brighton, we have terrible service for O2, absolutely terrible, which is actually my phone carrier, so great for me, I guess. But we have really good EE coverage because they're a very good city SIM. So if you're in a densely populated area, EE probably have the best coverage for you. So what I can do is when these modems are activated, they will scan all of the networks that are available to them. They'll be like, oh, wait a minute, we have really strong EE coverage. So let's set 2 of these modems to be on EE, and then let's set these other 2 to be on Vodafone 3 or O2. And therefore, if I'm driving, like I said, from Brighton to London, and I drive out of Brighton into the countryside, and then suddenly I lose all my EE service and all I have is O2 and Vodafone, the stream won't go down because it's able to take the bandwidth which was being used on the EE SIMs, which are now lost. The O2 and other carriers are able to pick up the slack, which is why I opted to spend a little bit more for the Solo Pro over these. I'm not gonna lie, I have a few of these because there was a time where Twitch was giving these out for something called the IRL initiative, and you bet I signed up for that. And I didn't get 1, I got 2 for some reason. So I've got 2 of these. I don't tend to use them anymore because they are old. They're old and they're quite dated. The main benefit of moving over to this one, there is a configuration option for the Solo Pro where you can get an SDI port in, which is really cool. If you don't know what SDI is, it's basically like standard for live production company that isn't HDMI. It's like, it's old, but like reliable, and also it locks, which is quite nice. So you can't accidentally pull the cable out, but I opted to get the version without SDI or the inbuilt SIM cards and just get standard HDMI, because with a Twitch stream, I am not streaming in more than 1080p 60 frames a second, which means there's like virtually no point me having SDI. Like, I'm not streaming in 4K, and I'll never need to stream in 4K. Other features that this has over the old version, USB-C charging. Oh my God. USB-C charging, it is a godsend. Listen, while the old one, it was reliable, it was good. Actually, it wasn't that reliable, but I'll get into that in a second. And now, what I've got here is a V-mount battery which has two DTAP. DTAP is a type of power connector which connects to a lot of camera accessories. But also, this is the good thing, it has a USB-A and USB-C port on it. And it also has these fancy ports on the back. But this combined with this, if you have your USB-C from this plugged into this, because you can charge it while you're using it, this gives you a combined streaming hours of around 4 hours of continuous live stream. It's maybe 5 or 6, depending on how hot or cold it is outside, because obviously these batteries, they're affected by temperature. If it's like bad climate, for these type of batteries, you get maybe 3 hours. And the good thing about these modems as well, which I didn't mention, is they don't require external power. So on old modems that I used for that previous one, you'd have to power them separately. And that just means more batteries, more heavy bag, more bulk. But with this one, all of this tech here, other than the camera, obviously, because I'm using that camera to record this video right now. Who would have guessed? But all of this here is basically all you need to run the IRL stream. You can either put that in a rucksack, or it actually does come with a sling attachment, which you can just put around and keep on your hip. I know that a lot of streamers now are opting to use the sling rather than put it in a backpack, just because I know a lot of IRL streamers are based out of LA and temperature is a real issue. I actually have some more tech on the side here that I want to talk about, but I wanted to showcase this cool tech. Show it off. Look at that. Hey, 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 hey. Maybe I just get some close-ups. Hey, there's the battery. Hey, here's the modems, you know? So that, in essence, is the entire IRL backpack. If you're wondering what camera I'm using a Sony FX30. I use lightweight tripod with it when I'm running around. Nothing crazy. I use a 10 to 18 millimeter Sigma lens. Look at this. Look how wide it goes. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, I'm filming this video in the live production studio in my office, which, if you want to see a tour of actually my live production studio and all the tech in the studio, drop a comment and I'll maybe get on that. Let me just, let me rezoom you in. There we go, that's better. You might be thinking, Toby, I've seen you do IRL events in the past and IRL streams in the past where you've had multiple cameras, but as you can see, this only has one HDMI port input. Well, dear chatter, allow me to introduce you to the Blackmagic ATEM Pro. Now, this isn't your typical IRL stream grab-and-go tech. You can't have this in a mobile environment, really. It requires proper powering. I did do a stream where I had one of these running out of an RV I rented, and I had a massive EcoFlow battery, which was powering this and the live view and everything. But for your best quality of live produced content, you don't want to be running around with this in a bag, because as you can see, this also takes DC in on the back here. But what this is, the ATEM Mini Pro, is 4 camera inputs that you can swap to by tapping the numbers through 1, 2, 3, and 4. What it has is it has an inbuilt HDMI out on the back there, which then you will run that HDMI into your LiveView Solo Pro, and then just like that, you get 4 camera inputs with 1 LiveView output. And I know a lot of people might be asking, Toby, why would you not bring around a mini PC and do all of this with a mini PC? Well, this is what makes the LiveView more special over using a mini PC and just having this plugged in. What I mentioned before, when you have these multiple modems coming in, rather than all of your traffic going out on one of the connected networks, it is spread across all of them and then brought back together on a cloud server before going to your final destination. So let's say I have 3000 bitrate on one modem, 2000 on another, and then 500 on the other two. Rather than only using 3000 and then streaming only at 3000 bitrate, it will combine all of them to make 6000 bitrate for that perfect crisp image that we love so much. For example, the Grand Prix. A couple months ago, I did a modular Formula 1 with go-karts with my streamer friends, and we rigged up 4 cameras around the track, which were tracking. We had them all going into this, and then going into the live view to be sent out. However, we had a problem. There was only one HDMI out, which means there was no way to see the multicam feed, which is all of the cameras to know what you're cutting to. Enter the next bit of technology. This is the ATEM streaming bridge. It looks complicated, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't 100% understand it. It has 4 of those SDI inputs I mentioned. It has power, a DC, I believe it's a 6 to 30 volt, but then it has a HDMI out and an Ethernet in. I'm only going to explain the Ethernet in and the HDMI out because it's all I know. So if we go back over to the Blackmagic ATEM Pro, you can see on the back, there is something called ATEM Control with an RJ45 port. If you connect that to the Ethernet in on the streaming bridge, you can send an additional clean program feed out to this ATEM streaming bridge and then connect the HDMI out to the LiveView Solo. For example, what I will do is, I will set my video out. You can see these 2 buttons here. I've got an MV and a program. I will set my video out to multi-view, which is your multi-feed one. And I would set my HDMI out to an external USB monitor, one which is powered by just USB. You know what I'm on about, those travel monitors that pop up for the portable streaming setup for big events like this. So have the HDMI out go into there with the multi-feed, and then I would start my program feed streaming on here over the Ethernet, have the Ethernet going into the streaming bridge, and then get that clean program feed out on the HDMI out, which will then go into the live view. So then I can get the benefit of having the multi-view, which is baked into this device, which is really good for switching. And I can also then get the clean program feed, which I need to send to this, to then send over the internet to then go to your Twitch and your YouTube destinations. Now, why don't we talk about some of the negatives? Because I've said a lot of good about all of these devices. I'm now going to complain about every single pain I have had with these devices. Starting off with the modems. No complaint, they work perfectly. Like, I've used Netgear, is it Nighthawks or Blackhawks before? They, like, disconnect and overheat all the time. I've had no issues with these. No throttling of the connection. These are great. My next complaint about the LiveView Solo Pro. This HDMI port is damaged so easily. Because these things are so grab and go and they're so active and IRL streaming is so energetic and you're moving a lot, this port gets absolutely messed up. I have sent this device back to be repaired twice now to get this port replaced, and it is still broken. Basically, I'll plug in a HDMI cable, connect it to a camera, and then just on the display here, you'll just see the camera just flashing and disconnecting, and it's not the cable, and it's not the port on the camera, because they work fine with everything else. It's merely the connection. The only gripe I have with this device, and you might be thinking, Toby, you should have got the SDI version. Yeah. I should have got the SDI version. As I mentioned at the start, those cables, they lock in, and they're pretty robust. Like, look at that connector. Look at that connector. It looks like an old-fashioned TV antenna. That's not gonna break anytime soon, is it? But that is my main complaint, and it is so frustrating. And to send it out and get it repaired and have it come back takes so much time. And also, dude, now this is a different gripe. You have to pay customs charge when you're sending it to be repaired and then bring it back. It's got to the point now where I've paid customs on importing this single device so many times that I've paid the same amount in customs that I have when I actually bought it. Which is crazy. Right, next complaint. ATEM Mini Pro. I love you a lot, but why do you not let me record all 4 camera feeds? A lot of this stuff I do on live stream, I want to repurpose into other YouTube videos, and I want all that footage. There is no way to record all 4 camera feeds at once without paying for the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, which is like £600 more. But this device is already capturing all the 4 feeds. Why can't I record them? And also, my other gripe is it has a USB-C out. Why can't I record them to an external drive? Why can't I plug this USB-C out in to like a Samsung SSD and record all 4 tracks? You can do it on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, and you can't do it on this one. And I don't understand. It's like identical hardware. It feels like just an arbitrary, you have to buy the better one to get this feature, which is the software update. Like, you know what I mean? I don't like that. This is a really good budget switcher. Well, budget switcher. This one is pricey. All of this shit's pricey. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, that's super annoying. And also, this would be really nice if it had 2 HDMI outs, so then I didn't have to spend an additional £400 just to get a second HDMI out. What? Loki, I don't understand this thing enough to have any gripes. It does its job exactly as it says on the box. It allows me to put my Ethernet in, take my Ethernet feed and then get some more outputs. But why on earth does a glorified RJ45 to HDMI adapter cost me £400? Why? What I will say about the LiveView Solo Pro though, is I mentioned money with the Blackmagic stuff. I didn't mention the cost of this because on the market right now for 6 modem support with cellular bonding, with HDMI or SDI in, this is the best value. This thing, I believe, will run you back around £1,000 or maybe 1,200 US, which is a lot of money for, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of money, something your phone can do, but it's a really good piece of tech. It's expensive, but that's what happens when you start to get into your more commercial hardware for broadcast. Like, these things aren't designed for your Twitch streamer that wants to run up and down Brighton Beach like a maniac. This is designed to be mounted on your massive shoulder mount camera or in your broadcast truck and go back to a professional studio and then go out on TV. It's like second functionality which has been added after. For it not being its primary use case, for how well it works, I think it's very good value for money. Maybe I'm out of touch because I spend way too much money on live streaming technology, but I genuinely do believe that this is the best value for money streaming thing at the minute. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I just thought I'd showcase all the tech I use for my insane IRL streaming setup. If you want to see how I use it, in the description, I'll add a link to the VOD for the Model F1 Grand Prix I did, so you guys can see all this tech in action. But I want to say a massive thank you and a massive shout out to Unlimited IRL who sent me these modems and the data for these modems, because the data is the most expensive part of doing the IRL streams I do, and they were nice enough to send all of that over to me. So I'll also add a big fat link to them in the description if you want to see where you can get data plans that work literally anywhere in the world with every single carrier. This has been another week, another tech video. I know I didn't upload exactly on a week. Listen, I got distracted. I did an opening DJ set for Baby No Money, okay? If you have any questions, drop a comment and I'll answer them. Again, thank you for 20,000 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe because this is a growing channel and it helps me a lot. I really like to talk about my cool hardware stuff. Anyway, that's all from me and I will see you next week. Later, people. Bye.